Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us. People are slowly entering from the waiting room. If you are here for the Dream for All seminar, you're in the right place. But we are going to give it to about 6:02 to let everybody in. All the stragglers, we'll let them come in. And yeah, we'll get this started. So make sure you have your notepads, your pens, ready to take notes because we got some gems going to be dropped tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Thumbs up. Thank you, Jessica, for that thumbs up. Thumbs up if we're excited for the information we're about to hear tonight. I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. Oh yeah, Gloria, perfect. And you guys
Oh,
can hear okay? Can you guys hear okay? Check, check. All right, I'm getting thumbs up. I love
I tried to give a thumbs up, but I can't even figure out how
it.
to.
I think it's in React.
Oh, React. I see. I
Yeah.
see.
So yeah, I know I'm excited. Awesome, awesome. Getting thumbs up. Love the participation. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and kick it off. I will let Marvin introduce us, and yeah, excited for tonight. Go ahead, Marvin.
Sounds good. Thank you, Daniel. We are very excited to have you guys here tonight. We've got a lot of really good information coming at you. My name is Marvin. I'm a local realtor here. And then we have Daniel with Golden Bay Mortgage Group, lender. Daniel and I have partnered together on things for a number of years. We love getting to work together, and we are so excited to have Natasha on with us tonight. She is with CalHFA. She is the expert. She's got all the good details for the California Dream for All that's going to be getting released in 2026. So we're so excited that you guys are jumping on in 2025 so you can get prepared for 2026 and get all your goals accomplished. So let's jump right in. All right, today we're going to just talk a little bit about the process of purchasing a home. Options. And then the person that you guys are all excited to see, Natasha, will go over the California Dream for All, discuss a little bit of how it works, and especially the eligibility requirements, because I'm sure that's where people have the most questions. So let's get into it. All right, so this is the home buying process. We've done some work to make it as easy and simple as possible for you guys to understand and broken it up into 8 simple steps. Today, we're really going to look at it from a 30,000-foot view because there's a lot of things that happen in between some of these steps. And as Daniel and I work with you to make that process easy, we'll go through those things. But today, just to make everything easy, we've got 8 simple steps. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is get pre-approved. So that helps us understand what you can afford, how much house you can qualify for, and that process is going to start with Daniel. He's going to look at some of your income documents, he's going to review things with you, and he's going to let us know what that price is so we can get that pre-approval. Once you finish step one, on to step two is hiring a realtor, somebody like myself. I am a realtor by trade. This is my full-time job. I'm not somebody's Uncle Joe that's working on the side, just trying to do a couple deals a year. I really take this seriously because purchasing a home is one of the biggest investments that you'll probably make in your life and one of the biggest assets that you'll be able to own. So I want to make sure that the clients that I work with, I get to walk them through that process properly to make sure that you guys understand everything when it comes to this. You're in the driver's seat, and I'm just your guide and your Sherpa to help make sure that you understand everything, to make sure you're getting a good deal, to make sure we can negotiate for you, and make sure that you're getting the best out of your experience. So once you have your team set up, you've got your lender, Daniel, you've got me, your realtor, then we can start touring properties. This is the fun part. So we get to start looking at houses. You're going to see things that you fall in love with. We're going to walk into houses. You're going to be like, this does not look anything like what I saw in the pictures. That's okay too. It helps me better understand what you're looking for. And then we can sort of weed some of those things out as we look further and further. It is a really exciting time to be starting your home buying journey. We have some of the highest inventory in the market that we've had since 2009. So, what does that mean for you as a buyer? It means there's a lot more options. Things aren't moving as quickly. What else does that mean? Prices are kind of dropping a little bit or remaining flat, and that is what we expect to see in 2026. Some neighborhoods are different. Some neighborhoods are always hot and prices might still be going up. So don't, that's sort of a generalization. But I'm really good at getting my clients good deals. So this is my favorite part, touring and finding that dream home for you. Once we find that dream home, we're going to move on to step four is submitting that offer. Outside of purchase price, there's other things that make a really strong offer. So when we get there, we'll review everything together. We'll be able to talk about it and make sure that we're getting you the best deal and accomplishing the end goal, which is actually getting the seller to accept your offer. Once your offer is accepted, that means everybody's happy. You, as the buyer, is happy with what you put out there. The seller is happy with what you offered. And we sort of get into our due diligence period. So that's step six. We're going to do all of our inspections. We want to make sure the house is in really good condition because the first time we walk through it, we're looking at it with googly eyes, with rose-colored glasses. Everything looks beautiful. We're so excited. But when we are actually buying that house, we want to make sure everything's working. So the inspector is going to come in. He's going to walk on the roof. He's going to look in the attic. He's going to go underneath the house if he can. He's going to test all those appliances. So we're going to make sure everything is working properly. If anything comes back that we didn't really know was going on, that's our opportunity to renegotiate, maybe get you a price reduction, get you some credits. So there's always opportunities there. And then we're also going to do an appraisal. And this is to protect you guys as buyers, especially if you're getting financing, to make sure that you're paying a fair market value for the home. It's a third party person that just comes and looks at comparable sales and says, yes, this home is being sold comparably to everything else around it. From there, we move on to step seven, the closing process. So you're almost right there. That's when we sign all of our final documents, we re-review everything. That information gets sent to the county to record the deed that puts your name on the title, and then you are officially a homeowner. Round of applause. Let's see those claps in the comments. That's the most exciting thing is giving you those keys to your brand new home. And that is where a lot of agents sort of finish their job. And that's truly where I believe our relationship starts. I'm going to assume that most of you here are first-time home buyers. And so there's going to be a lot of things that come up that you may not know how to tackle or how to handle or have questions about. I'm your real estate guy for life. Once we work together, I'm here for you. So if you get any mail that you're like, is this real? Is this actually from the county? Send me a picture of it. I'll let you know. If your dishwasher goes out, if your electrical, starts acting up, anything like that, I've got really great vendors that I've been working with for a number of years that I can refer you to, and they're going to make sure to take good care of you. So whatever support and guidance you need, even after we close on the deal, I'm going to be here to support you. Same thing with Daniel on the loan side. I'm going to throw that out for him because he does too. You have a mortgage for 30 years. He's going to be there to help answer any questions that you have as things come up, if you ever need to refinance. So he'll jump into some of that stuff. Um, if you guys have questions too, we're going to leave time at the end. So drop your questions in the chat. We'll make sure to get to them. We might select a few people to, jump on and ask those questions that maybe everybody else has. So use that chat. We're going to jump in there and answer some questions towards the end. So don't worry about that. We'll also drop our link to schedule a consultation, a quick 15-20 minute consultation to figure out how we get you started. And then, we can schedule in the chat for now, and then we'll also have it at the end. Okay, so tonight we're here for the California Dream for All loan program. Natasha is going to talk a little bit later about all of the eligibility requirements, all the qualifications and stuff like that. So she'll answer all those questions, but we wanted to sort of give you an example of what it could look like and how exactly those numbers work. So the California Dream for All is a down payment assistance program that gets you up to 20% towards the down payment and closing costs of your home. So we tried to use a really simple example. So let's say you purchase a home for the sales price of $500,000 and 20% of that is $100,000. Let's say you borrow the full 20%. You don't have to borrow 20%, but you can. So that would mean you're borrowing $100,000 to put as down payment and closing costs on the property. Okay, do I ever have to repay this $100,000? Is it free money? It's not free money. It is money that helps you get into the property. So that has to be paid back when you sell the property in the future. So let's say, for example, you decide to sell that property 5, 10 years down the road. It's appreciated, which means it's increased in its value. That is the whole goal with owning real estate, is that over time, that asset, like we talked about, is growing in value and you're making money by paying your equity, but also because the market is bringing that up. So let's say, a few years down the road, you decide to sell that property and it's now worth $600,000. So in that scenario, you're going to sell the property for $600,000. We have to remember we borrowed $100,000, so we're going to pay that back. We appreciated $100,000 in value. So what does that mean? We went from $500,000 to $600,000. So what you have to do is pay 20% of that appreciation. So the total repayment amount at the time of sale is going to be $120,000. And in this scenario, your profit as a buyer is $80,000. I'm going to let that sink in. So sometimes people feel like, oh man, I got to pay $20,000 back when I borrowed 100, this and that. The way that I look at it is, if I never borrowed this money from the state in the first place and I didn't have $100,000 to put down and make my home ownership goals a reality, then I would have never made this $80,000. I'd rather borrow 100 and make 80 and pay them 20 for borrowing that 100 than never have been able to buy a house at all. That's the way that I look at it. So again, we'll come back to this slide if people have questions as we get there. It's hard on the webinar to know if you've got questions or you understand, but hopefully that made sense. I'm going to hand it over to Daniel now. He is a loan officer extraordinaire. He can make any scenario work. Him and I have been working together for 6 years with a variety of different clients, from low income that want down payment assistance, that work with grant programs, that have the money, whatever it is, we're going to find a way to make it work. We like to look at this like a puzzle, and each one of you has an individual puzzle that we get to work on and put together and make it happen. So, Daniel, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's give it up for Marvin in the chat. Let's give him a awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, my name is Daniel Robertson. Can you guys hear me okay? Awesome. Yeah, so my name is Daniel Robertson. I'm with Golden Bay Mortgage Group. Been in the industry for about 6 years. I started actually as a loan processor with the same company that I've actually graduated to a loan officer. And when I first got into the industry, Marvin was one of the realtors that I met, and we've been working together ever since. I've actually helped him buy his own personal property, and it's been a pleasure working with him. I can vouch for him and let you know that yes, if you have a question about your mortgage or, bill that shows up, he is gonna answer that text message or phone call. So he'll be there for you. And yeah, we're your team for life. The most important part about this process is finding a team. And that's, to me, that's better than finding the best and lowest interest rate, because we're going to be your team for life to help you save money over 30 years, not just for one transaction. One of the big questions that I always get is, hey, is now a good time to buy a home? And you can go to the next slide, Morgan. And I always follow up that question with my own question. I say, well, what is your why? Why do you want to buy a home? And for me, my why was my kids. So in that picture that you see, my two boys, they were 6 and 4 at the time. It's 2020, late 2021, early 2022, and my mom helped me buy my first home. And for me, I wanted to build generational wealth. I wanted to leave them something, to grow up and call it their own, right? And so that's what got me through those tough times, right? The tough times I'm talking about finding the home that you want, right? Finding the home that fits your needs, right? Getting through that pre-approval process. That why is going to help you get through, those stressful times that may come. They might not come, but in real estate, you want to make sure you have a team, and Marvin and I are the good team to make sure that happens. So go ahead to the next slide. And you hear this all the time, right? I'm waiting for that perfect moment to, ask that girl on a date. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to, buy that house, right? Now, perfect doesn't always mean ready. You could be ready, but that won't be the perfect moment for you. And that's kind of how real estate works, right? You want to if you're thinking about it, you want to make sure that you're checking off some of these boxes to let you know if you're ready or not. Number one is stable income. um, and generally we look for a 2-year work history, but in some instances we don't necessarily need a 2-year employment history. For example, you could be going to school, right? Let's say you go to school for accounting. Let's say you go to school for accounting and you graduate. Hey, you guys, can you let those people in the waiting room, let them in?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. So you could be, going to school and for accounting, and you graduate with that degree. Let's say 2 months later, you get a full-time salary job, right? And you send me that offer letter. We can use that employment and override that 2-year quote unquote work history. So that's why it's really important to book a consultation and just even ask questions. We don't even have to move on to the pre-approval process. It's basically just like a discovery call, but you don't need the perfect job. You just need consistency, right? And again, there's some unique situations. Another check mark that you want to make sure that you have down is manageable credit and debt. If I'm having that conversation with you and you're not really sure what your credit score is, right? You don't know how much debt you have on a monthly basis. That's a good indicator to let you know if you're ready or not, because people who are ready to buy a home know what their monthly payment is and they've made a monthly budget, which brings me to my next check mark, which is a comfortable payment. So that's what I'm going to do with you in this pre-approval process, is make sure that your payment needs are met, because you could be approved for $1 million, but can you afford $1 million monthly payment? That's the question that we need to ask. And so you should still be able to live and save money and have a mortgage. So those are some of the check marks. And then we can go to the next slide. Now, like I said, step one is basically having that buyer consultation, to where we're asking you questions about your income, asking you what's on your credit report, do you know what your credit score is? And then if you feel comfortable moving on to the next step, that's where we can get a little bit more granular with your approval, right? So I'll start to collect documents. And this is the most important part. Marvin said earlier, that's the fun part of going shopping. Well, this is the tough part, right? So once you get through this tough part, then you get to go have fun with Marvin and go shopping. But we can't go shopping until we basically check all those boxes and get fully pre-approved. And fully pre-approved means doing a full credit review and also doing a full income review. And here are some of the documents, a general overview of some of the documents, again, because people are going to have unique income situations. I want to make sure that they're addressed. So with the turn of the new year coming up too, I'm going to need updated docs. So in addition to the ones listed, so if you're a W-2 worker, we'll need those W-2s from 24 and 23. And depending on the timing, right, the program hasn't come out yet. So by then we'll need the 2025 W-2s in addition to your last 2 pay stubs of that month and the year-end pay stubs for 24, 23, and 25. I also need 2 months bank statements and a valid ID. And there are going to be some first generation documents that we'll need to collect that I'll let Natasha touch on. But we'll get to that and she'll touch on that. Fixed income, you can use your fixed income to buy a home. Pension, Social Security, foster care, annuity, child support, and there's some more not listed on here. But in general, we're just going to need the award letter, or there's usually a statement that says the amount that you're getting and what's it for. Also need to see, some lenders like to collect 2 months of bank statements to see those funds being deposited into your account. And then we have our self-employed borrowers. Yes, you can buy a home with self-employment income. I did. And so you can use, what I'll need to collect generally is your business and personal tax returns for the last 2 years. If you have a K-1 income, which is pretty unique, we'll need the W-2s for that. So 25, 24, and 23, in addition to some pay stubs. But again, everyone's process is different. So that's why you definitely want to talk to a professional. And hopefully that's Marvin and I, and hopefully we can guide you through that process, because again, it's tried and true, our process, and we're your lender and realtor for life. So go to the next slide. And buying your first home is possible. I know you are all here for the dream for all, and you can accomplish that dream. In this slide, you can see some of the people that I helped. That top left picture with me holding my son, that was a CalHFA loan that we did. Marvin and I, we closed on that top right picture right there with my friend JMO, and the one to the left of it, we just closed what last week, Marvin, I think it was. Yep, a couple weeks ago. And so, we work very well as a team. Again, the most valuable thing that you can have in this process is your team. And I'm very excited to introduce, I know who you all been waiting for, Natasha, to talk about the Dream for All. She's a part of our team. And so the information that she's about to share with you, I hope you have your notepads and your pens ready. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it to her now.
Thank you, Daniel, and thank you, Marvin. You guys gave some really good information. Now is the time, you guys, to really start assembling your team. So think about that. But I'm sure you're curious and wondering about Dream for All. And as soon as I get my slide up, I will share the important information about Dream for All. Can you see my slide? Can you? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, well, my name is Natasha Dowdy, and I am with the California Housing Finance Agency, also known as CalHFA. Today, I'm only going to talk about Dream for All, but I want you to know that if you don't qualify or you feel that Dream for All isn't a program for you, I don't want this to deter you. I want you to still talk to a lender. There are many programs out there that can help you achieve your dreams to home ownership. It's not just Dream for All. We do have our standard product line that consists of My Home, CalPlus Zip, CalPlus Access. The funds for those programs are always available. And there's other down payment assistance programs out there, not just CalHFA. So please just talk to someone just so that you can see which programs align with you and your family's needs. But the purpose of this call today, we're going to focus in on Dream for All. So Dream for All 2026, the voucher portal will be opening in first quarter next year. We do not have a date as to when the program will open, but we want you to spread the word, tell a friend, tell a family member, and also you're here for yourself as well. Prepare, you guys. I'm going to give you as much information as I can about Dream for All. We haven't officially announced the program, so I need you to stay tuned. I need you to make sure that you're signed up for email alerts because as more information comes out, we'll hound and disseminate that information so that you know all about Dream for All. But the information that I do have available today, I'm going to give it to you. You'll see here on the screen important contact information. You can certainly reach out to CalHFA directly. There we have our 8033 number that's on the slide. Or you can send an email to myself or to lender training, or you can reach out to a CalHFA approved lender. If you're someone that wants to partner up and work with Daniel or Marvin, you certainly can do so. But let's get started. So Dream for All, sorry, Dream for All is a unique program. The program name is titled Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program. And I'm going to give you a quick overview of the program and how it works. So the Dream for All program is only available on a conventional first mortgage. So you will have to meet conventional guidelines. And typically, we all know that conventional guidelines versus government guidelines, like an FHA loan, their credit score requirements tend to be very higher. So now is the time to make sure that your credit is in line and if you're someone that's interested in the Dream for All program. So Dream for All comes with the Dream for All conventional 30-year fixed first mortgage. The star of the show is that subordinate lien that offers up to 20% of the purchase price or appraised value, whichever's less, up to $150,000. That's $150,000 that you could use to apply as a down payment, or you can use it to apply a portion of it to a down payment and use some of the money to help with closing costs. It just depends on what your needs are, how you want to make this program affordable for you and your family. The Dream for All program requires that the home buyer register on our Dream for All voucher portal. There's a completely separate website that you, the home buyer, must register on. Now, this is completely different than any of our other programs because the funds on this program are limited. So we need to make sure that all parties that are interested in this program, they register in the portal system when it opens. Now, when that portal opens, it's only going to be open for a small window of time. So that's why we want to make sure that you're aware of the items that's needed, you're aware of what's required, and you're working to gather those documents so that when the portal opens, you don't miss out. Now, this program is a random selection. So there will be a random selection on this program to determine who will receive the Dream for All voucher. So when you, the home buyer, you register in the portal, when that portal closes, there will be a computerized random selection to determine who's going to get selected for the program. Hopefully, second quarter will announce who's selected and who's waitlisted on the program. Now, if you are selected for that program, you'll have that voucher, and that money will be guaranteed to you as long as you meet the program requirements. What does that mean? Your credit is in line and it meets the program guidelines. Your income is still within our program's income limits. So keep that in mind, and you still qualify as a first generation home buyer, which we'll talk about in depth a little later. Now, keep in mind, Dream for All has unique requirements. Some of you may be familiar with our standard programs where all borrowers on the loan have to meet our definition of a first-time home buyer, and that applies still with Dream for All. But there's another component that's added to the Dream for All program. At least one borrower on the loan must currently live in California. Okay. The second is at least one borrower must meet our definition of a first generation home buyer. I'm going to repeat that. One borrower on the loan must currently live in California, and one borrower on the loan must meet our definition of a first generation home buyer. And let me unpack what our definition of a first generation home buyer is. It's a home buyer who has not owned a home or been on title or named on a mortgage on a home that's located in the United States. So are you someone that hasn't owned a home, you haven't been listed on title, you haven't co-signed for a mortgage in the last 7 years? If you're that person, you might meet the first generation home buyer requirement. Now, there's a second component to that. We also want to confirm if your parents currently own a home in the United States. Okay. Now, I get so many questions on this definition. A lot of times I see so many things on social media where there's a loan officer stating that the parents can't own a home in the past 7 years, and that's untrue. It's presently. So that's both your mother and your father. They cannot currently own a home in the United States. Now, there are situations where our parents are no longer living. And if your parents are deceased, at the time of their death, they cannot own a home in the United States. Okay? This program, the Dream for All program, is specifically targeting first generation home buyers, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, I don't want you to self-eliminate yourself. I always want you to reach out to a lender and just explain your situation to them. You may find that you do in fact meet our definition of a first generation home buyer, or you might find that someone else that could be added to the loan meets our definition of a first generation home buyer. Remember, it's only one person on the loan that needs to identify as a first generation home buyer. But all borrowers on the loan must live in the home as their primary residence. Now, there is this third final aspect to first generation home buyer. And if you are someone that was placed in foster care or you were in institutional care, that could be a boarding home or a group home. If you were in foster care or institutional care, you automatically meet our definition of a first generation home buyer. So keep that in mind. If you were placed in foster care, we will need documentation proving that the time that you spent in foster care. And you don't have to answer questions about your parents or answer questions about the last time you owned a home if you can prove that you were in foster care. Please, if you have questions, please type them in the chat. We tend to get a lot of questions on this definition. Or if you want to have a one-off conversation, you can certainly reach out to a CalHFA approved lender, or you can contact me. You'll have my contact information at the end of the presentation. Now, so as I mentioned, Dream for All requires the home buyer to register in the portal. More information will be announced of when that portal will open, and it's only going to be a specific window. So please make sure you're gathering the documentation needed now. It's important, guys. So documents needed to register in the portal in 2026. The first document that you need is the Dream for All lender pre-approval letter. And if you look at the slide on the screen here to the right, that is an example of what that California Dream for All lender pre-approval letter is. Don't get it mixed up, guys. It's not any other form but that form. You're gonna need a copy of that form completed by the lender that you select to work with. They're gonna fill that form out. They're actually gonna pre-approve you. They're gonna look at your credit. They're gonna look at your income to make sure you meet Dream for All's requirements. So once they have that and they issue you that letter, you're going to need to save it. So when the portal opens, you have a copy to upload into the system. The next item that we need to make sure that you upload into the Dream for All portal is your government ID. And that government ID, it could be a passport, it could be your driver's license, it could be a state issued ID or a military ID. It just has to be a government issued form of identification. The next document that you will have to upload if you are placed in foster care is your foster care documentation. Okay, but not everyone will have to upload the foster care documentation if you were never placed in foster care. Okay. The next item, now this next piece of information is only for the individuals that identify as a first generation home buyer. So if you are the person that's on the loan and you're the first generation home buyer, we're going to need your parents' information. We're going to need both mom and dad's full name. We're going to need their date of birth and their current address. If your parent is no longer living and they're deceased, we're going to need the date of death. I know it's very morbid. I do apologize. Now, the reason being for this is once you upload this documentation into the portal and the portal closes, there's going to be a random selection on who's selected for the program. Once we have that random selection, those individuals are going to go through a third-party audit. So they're going to audit the information that you're entering into the system to make sure it's true and correct. So it's imperative that you're accurate with your information, you're not misleading, and you give true and accurate information, because it's a process, you guys. This is a lot of money we're talking about, $150,000. So please be factual with that. Now, if you're someone that you may have a bad relationship with your parents and you haven't kept in contact with them, and you don't know their current address, we then are going to ask you to provide a copy of your birth certificate, and that's for that first generation home buyer. So I say, just gather your birth certificate now, just in case, because you just never know. The third party audit, they can have questions and they might try to contact you based off of the information that you entered into the system. I'm one of those people that try to be proactive. So gather that birth certificate now so you're not scrambling if they so happen to need more information from you. So if you need to order your birth certificate, order that now. There are other documents that we will accept. That's a birth certificate, maybe baptism papers, school records, medical records. We need anything, or adoption papers, anything that has proof of who your parents are, both mother and father. It's a dual thing. So keep that in mind. If you have any questions, I'm reminding you to please type those into the chat. Again, if you have specific questions, you can call me, or you can reach out to Daniel or any CalHFA lender that be. But I want you guys to make sure you see this here on the screen. To the right, that's a copy of the Dream for All pre-approval letter that the lender you select will need to fill out and issue to you so that you can upload it into the portal. Okay, along with the other items that I have here on the screen. So that's the pre-approval letter. It's the government ID, foster care papers, if applicable. Then you're going to need your parents, both mother and father's information. That's their full name, date of birth, and their current address. If your parents are no longer living, we will need the date of death. If for some reason you don't know where they're located, maybe the relationship is strained, we will need a copy of your birth certificate. We will accept medical records, birth certificate, baptism papers, school records, something that identifies who your parents are, okay? So keep that in mind. And I know this is a lot of information, guys, and just to remind you that the Dream for All program was designed to target first generation homebuyers, those individuals that may not have had an opportunity at generational wealth, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, the Dream for All program, as I mentioned, it's a unique program, you guys. It's a unique loan, and it's a lot of money. That's up to $150,000. Now, and I want to reiterate to you guys that we will allow you to borrow 20% of the purchase price or appraised value up to $150,000, whichever is less, but you do not have to borrow that full 20%. You could opt to borrow 10%. Putting 10% down, that's a good amount of money. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, Dream for All, it is a loan. It's not a grant, and it's not forgivable. It is a loan that you will have to pay back. So whatever you're borrowing, you are going to have to pay that loan back, plus 20% of your home value's increased value. So it's the appreciation. So when do you have to pay it back? I wonder if anyone can drop a comment or a chat in the box. When do you think you have to pay it back? Just in case you're not paying attention.
Crowd participation, you're going to get points for this.
Yes, come on. Let's see. Is anyone dropping anything in the chat?
Let's see. 30 years.
30 years? Okay. So that's good. That you're on
Yeah.
track. You're on track.
When you
So
pay, or so we got say, I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name. Seda, 30 years. We got Gloria when you pay it off for sale. Once
okay.
we got Callan, sorry if I mispronounce it. Once you finish the loan, refinance or sell.
Okay.
Kathy Pham, when we sell the home or after we reach 20%.
Okay, so you guys kind of got the gist. So
Yeah.
just to reiterate, Dream for All, that second subordinate lien, it's a loan, and you're gonna have to pay it back when you sell the home or when you refinance, or if you transfer the loans, the home to another person, or in 30 years, you will have to pay back that loan. So you pay back the original loan amount plus a share of your home's increased value. So I'm visual and I don't have a visual to this, but I'm going to throw some numbers out at you guys. So say that you bought a home for $500,000 and you're in that home on the Dream for All program and you stay in that home for 5 years and you go to sell the home. And in 5 years, the home has increased in value and it's now worth $700,000. The difference between the original purchase price plus the current market price of what you sold the home for, that difference is the amount of appreciation that you've earned. And 20% of your increased value is what we're going to take from you. Okay. So in that situation, let's see here. I don't have I'm going to do a quick calculation. I don't have this plugged in here. But that 20% of $200,000, that's $40,000 that you're going to have to pay to CalHFA, plus the original loan amount under Dream for All. So it's about $40,000. That's not bad, but I just always want you guys to keep that in mind, that you will owe the original loan amount plus a percentage of your home's increased value. Now, there is an exception that CalHFA will allow. So let's say you're in this loan for a year. You've been making on time, timely payments, because that's key. When you buy a home, you got to pay your mortgage on time because that's important. CalHFA will allow you to refinance into another loan without having to pay back the loan plus share the appreciation in your home value. The key is that you have to be in that loan for 12 months and you have to make on time, timely mortgage payments for 12 months. So that's key. There's a list of requirements that has to be met, but the biggest takeaway is making your mortgage payment on time for 12 months and will allow a one-time resubordination of that Dream for All loan. Now, I always get or I take calls from lenders or I'll search around on social media and I see lenders talking about the Dream for All program and they'll refer to it as an equity share. And that's not what the program is. The program is not an equity share. It's a shared appreciation loan program. There is a difference between equity and there's a difference between appreciation. And hopefully I can let you in on what those two meanings are. So equity, if you see here on this screen, equity is the difference between the amount you owe on your home and the current market value. Okay. So that's a difference. And factors that can help increase your equity is you paying down your principal balance on your home. Okay. So the amount you owe is the liens on title, right? It's your first mortgage, maybe your second mortgage. Some may go out and get an equity line of credit. That's can eat up your equity on your home. So keep that in mind. But our program, it's called the Dream for All Shared Appreciation Loan Program. And appreciation is completely different than equity. Appreciation is the difference between the original purchase price of your home and the current market value. So, as the example that I gave you earlier, so if you bought the home for $500,000 and then later you sell it for $700,000, the difference between those two, that's $200,000. That's appreciation. And I also want to make sure that you know factors that increase your appreciation, because that's key. Because once you get into the loan, you want to make sure that you know what can increase your home's appreciation. So here are some factors on the screen to the right of my screen. It would be market demand. So the demand in homes, right? Another factor is when you buy a home and you make upgrades to your home, that can affect your home's appreciation or neighborhood characteristics. Do you live in an area that's desirable, or what's going on with your neighborhood? So I had a call from someone, and I just have to share this to you guys. I received a call from a home buyer, someone interested in Dream for All, and they asked, if I buy a home, can I build an accessory dwelling unit on my property? Is that going to affect my Dream for All loan? And we don't dictate what renovations you make, but you just kind of want to be mindful of the renovations that you make. So if you build an accessory dwelling unit on your property, it's going to have a significant increase to your home's value. So keep that in mind. We're not telling you, hey, don't build an accessory dwelling unit, but just be mindful of the upgrades and renovations that you make, because you don't want to share a lot of 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 your home's increased value. So just keep that in mind, you guys. I can go on and on, but I'm gonna keep it going. Now, with Dream for All, Dream for All has specific income limits, you guys. Some of you might be used to our standard programs like My Home, Cal Plus Zip, My Access. Those income limits are much, much higher. But when it comes to Dream for All, the Dream for All income limits are lower, but they're reasonable. So, how we determine if you're within our income limits, it depends on the total annual income of all borrowers on the loan. This is not household income. There are other down payment assistance programs out there that will look at household income. Household income being who's living in the house? Is it how many kids do you have? Is your grandmother living there? And that's not the case with CalHFA. We're simply looking at the income of all borrowers on the loan. So if it's husband and wife, if you're on the loan, we're going to take the total annual income of that the married couple to determine if you're within the program's income limits. In addition, the program is also going to look at where you're buying your home. So if you're someone that's looking to buy in Sacramento County, we're going to look at Sacramento, and the income limit for Sacramento is $191,000. So all borrowers' income would have to be at or below $191,000 if they're looking to buy in Sacramento County. Now, this program is available statewide. So it's not tied to a specific census tract or a zip code. You can buy in any county throughout the state of California. You just have to make sure that where you buy, it's going to be your primary residence, and where you buy or the home that you buy is considered a one-unit property. You will not be able to purchase a home using the Dream for All program if you're looking to buy units. The program just doesn't work for duplexes, triplexes. It has to be a one unit, single family residence. It could be a condo, it could be a townhome. It just has to be a one unit property. You might even be someone that finds a single family residence with an accessory dwelling unit, and that's okay as long as the appraiser identifies it as a one unit property. Now, Dream for All, you guys, requires homebuyer education. As you all know, CalHFA is a fanatic, and we are focused in on making sure you're educated. And Dream for All requires you to take and complete 2 homebuyer education courses. So you will have to complete our standard 8-hour homebuyer education course. I highly recommend you use the links on our website to complete those courses. Then we also have the Dream for All education course, because this is a unique program. As I mentioned, it's that shared appreciation component. We want to make sure you understand what appreciation is and just how the loan works it's in itself. So the Dream for All education course is free of charge, but that 8-hour education course, the cost may vary. Now, each course, you will be issued a certificate. That certificate is good for 1 year. I repeat, it's good for 1 year. And I say that because some may be eager to complete the homebuyer education course today. And if you do so, it might expire and you might have to retake the course and pay some more money. And I don't want you guys to do that. So I recommend waiting until you know that you're selected for the program to take the education course. Now, Dream for All, it's free of charge. So you can, if you're like, wait, hold on, I want to make sure I fully understand how this Dream for All program works. You can certainly take the Dream for All education course because it's free of charge. But note that the certificate is only valid for 1 year. All right. Now, I know that was a lot of information, you guys, but I want to make sure that you visit our website and you search the information. There's a number of lenders on our website that you can work with, but Daniel at Golden Bay Mortgage and Marvin hosted this event today. If you guys feel obliged to work with them, please reach out to them, but you could certainly visit our website to contact a CalHFA approved lender. Now is the time to start assembling your team, you guys. The lender that you select is important. You need to be proactive. And some of you might say, hey, my credit isn't high, or I'm not sure of my credit score. Talking to a lender, they're going to guide you and give you tips and tricks to help you boost your credit to where it needs to be. But now is the time. I know it's Christmas and we might be out there shopping. I hear that people are raving over some shoes. I don't know, but kind of let's limit the spending. But assemble your team. Assemble your team. Make sure you're making good credit decisions. Also, sign up for email alerts. You can do that by visiting our website and clicking on the envelope icon. Also, if you want information about the Dream for All program, on the screen, you'll see a link that will take you to the Dream for All page on our website. In the chat, I added our Dream for All income limits. I added our website and the Dream for All flyer, but now is the time to get prepared, you guys. It's up to $150,000. Make sure you stay connected and you're reading the announcements that we make. We will be announcing the program soon. And I need you guys to know that that portal is only going to be open for a small window of time. If you do not register on the portal before it closes, you'll miss out on the program. So keep that in mind, okay? But I thank you, and I think I'm going to hand it off to Daniel and Marvin so we can take some questions.
Let's give it up for Natasha.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for dropping those gems. And no, you have to use us. No, I'm just kidding. No, we highly encourage you guys. Again, this whole process is about vibing with your team. So, that's why I said earlier, hey, if you think it's a good fit after our consultation, definitely work with us. But we encourage, you to interview and, see what's right for you. But thank you so much, Natasha. Like that was awesome. We're gonna open the floor up for Q&A. So if you guys can do me a favor, look on your little react button. If you can raise your hands, first person who raises their hand gets called on first, basically how this works. So I'll go down the line and unmute you. But Marvin has some information he wants to drop
Yeah.
as well.
Let me jump in really quickly. One question for you, Natasha, that came up a couple of times while you were talking. In terms of parents and getting that information, a couple people had mentioned that what if they don't know one of their parents, whether that be father or mother? How do they address that situation? Is that just getting the birth certificate?
Yes.
If they're not able to get anything more than that.
That's a great question, and I hope everyone is listening. Because I understand things happen, life is kind of, we're just here, right? But
Yeah.
if you don't know your other parent, just get a copy of your birth certificate. We understand if you can get a copy of your birth certificate and upload that to the portal, that will suffice. Again, if you don't have your birth certificate, we will take adoption papers, we'll take school records, medical records, anything that's identifying who your parents are, and go from there. I hope that helps.
Okay. Yeah. And
Okay.
then
But I
from my
always say,
understanding,
again, I always say, just grab your birth certificate. I'm just to make sure. Just grab
yeah.
your birth certificate. Just have that handy, just in case. You just never know.
Perfect. Let me pull one other question from the chat and then I'll have
Yeah.
Daniel pick somebody. If parents are no longer residing in the country, do we just provide the most recent US address or their new address outside of the country?
That's a good question. I would go with their current address. That's a good question. And I would go with their current address. But I'm also going to say prepare to provide their last known address also. If what you remember, I stated that there's a random selection. And then once we have those individuals that were randomly selected, there will be an audit conducted by a third party company. If they have questions about the information that you inputted into the system, they're going to reach out to you. And then you might have to supply a different additional information if they have questions.
You want to read that one from Gloria too?
Oh, let's see. There's questions.
It's kind of centered around the same question, but what if your birth certificate was issued in a different country, for example, Mexico? Did we read that one already?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. If your birth certificate was issued outside of the country, just get a copy of your birth certificate and upload it to the system. It doesn't have to be a US birth certificate. It can be from out of the country. To help. We've so this is our third year coming out with a program. So last year we did receive quite a few birth certificates outside of the country. So that is allowed.
Let's see any other ones in the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, Natasha. Will you please send me the chat? Hi, Natasha. Will you please
Oh,
send?
I
Okay.
responded to
Okay,
this.
good, good, good. Okay, cool. Let's see here. Now, if you do,
Anybody have a burning question they want to ask? We can unmute you if you want
yep.
to ask it to the group. This is your opportunity. You've got a great lender, a great realtor, a representative from CalHFA staying late to give you guys this information.
So I just want to throw a trivia question out there. Who, when the portal opens, the portal being the Dream for All portal, can you type in the chat who you think should be the person that registers in the Dream for All portal? Should it be one, your lender that you're working with, or say A, the lender you're working with, B, the loan officer, or C, you, the home buyer? C, yes, the home buyer must register in the Dream for All portal when that portal is announced and opened, okay? Guys, I need you to please sign up for email
Yep.
alerts. If you know a family member that's interested in this program, make sure that they sign up for email alerts. When that program or when we get more information about the program, we will make an announcement. We will be announcing the date of that portal opening. So I don't want you guys, I don't want any of you to miss that important date. So please sign up.
Juan
Oh,
Herrera.
Awesome.
Can someone with DACA qualify?
okay, great question. Oh my goodness. So keep in mind, keep in mind that this is a conventional loan program, okay? So for DACA, it depends. I'm not going to say yes and I'm not going to say no. It's important for anyone that has citizenship questions to talk to a CalHFA approved lender. It could be Daniel. He'll definitely need to have a consultation with you to answer that question because it just really depends on the documentation type that you have.
Yep.
But we
Yeah.
don't have specific citizenship requirements. Those are requirements that Daniel will have to follow of that first mortgage and the servicer. But great question.
Yeah, we can talk more offline about that, Juan. So if you did want to book that consultation and let me know what kind of documentation you do have, I'll let you know if it can qualify you for the Dream for All. Good
Do you
question.
want to let Natalie ask the question, and then I have a few from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
chat that I'll ask.
All
Okay.
right. All right, Natalie, I'm gonna unmute you, okay? Go
Thank
ahead.
you. When should a person get pre-approved, given that the pre-approval letter is needed when we register?
That's a great question.
Yep.
So, and so that pre-approval letter, when should you? It just really depends because keep in mind this Dream for All program, it's a lengthy process,
Yeah.
right? If you compare it to the process of our standard programs, like My Home Assistance, the funds are always available.
Yeah.
I need to give you a real time span. So we're hoping that the portal is announced first quarter. So that's anywhere between January and March. Um, I'd say get pre-approved now, you know, or, now is a good time so that you have that letter ready. I don't want to put it off later because the volume might pick up for that
Yeah.
lender and then they might be on a time constraint on getting you a copy of that pre-approval letter.
Yeah.
I say do it now. Keep in mind that that lender may need to update information if you are
Okay.
someone that's selected for the
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Um,
No,
yeah,
she's
so
100% right. And I was gonna just piggyback off of that a little bit. Essentially, it's a timing thing, and depending on what your credit score is, if we need to work on something, what I can do to kind of, keep us from having to pull your credit multiple times is I can do a soft report. We can kind of take a peek underneath the hood. That's not going to give me a full approval, but it'll give us a good idea of what's on your credit report. That way, when we kind of gear up to do the full credit report, which pre-approval is good for 3 months. So we can kind of time it out with that. So I can start with a soft credit report and then kind of graduate to a full credit review once we kind of graduate to a better time.
I'd
Awesome.
like to I'd like to ask piggyback on a question that Stephanie Grace
Go ahead.
asked in the chat. She asked, do homebuyers have to close on their home in a certain amount of time after they're selected for the program? And Stephanie, that is a great question. So I'm going to answer that question as if the program guidelines will remain the same. Because again, keep in mind, Dream for All for 2026, it hasn't been announced. So if they mirror the requirements from our past rollout with the program, this is the answer. So if you're selected for the Dream for All program in 2026, this is hypothetically hoping that they keep this the same. So please stay tuned. If you're selected, once you're selected, you'll have 90 days to shop for a home. 90 days. Now, that's 90 days to shop and find a home, get your offer accepted, and have a CalHFA approved lender reserve your loan in our system before the voucher expires. That's 90 days. So keep that in mind. There are some little nuances with that. Sometimes people might want to extend the time of their voucher. I don't want to go on a tangent on that because things could change. We haven't officially announced the program, but if they still allow that one-time extension, folks will have a one-time extension. Um, they can request to extend the voucher when their original voucher is set to expire in less than 30 days. But guys, I'm giving you information about the Dream for All time frame that applied for the rules in and for the previous years. So please stay tuned on that, especially
Yeah,
when we announce it, because it could change.
good
But
point.
Yeah,
great
and
question. Great
yeah, just to
question.
piggyback off of that, this process can take a little bit of time. So that's why we really wanted to do this webinar around this time because everything hasn't been released yet, but we can start prepping you. Daniel can start working on your pre-approval,
Yeah,
do a soft pull if we need to. We can make a plan on improving credit if that's necessary to make sure that when this comes out, you're ready to apply and you're ready to register in that portal and hopefully be selected through the lottery program,
yeah,
which takes me to one of our other questions. A couple of questions from Gloria and Natalie that sort of go hand in hand. Since it's a random draw, do you recommend that all people in the home register to increase the chances of being selected? And do all of the borrowers need to register or just one borrower?
No. So that's a really, really, really good question. So you do not want to, if you're interested in Dream for All, you do not want to register multiple chance times, okay? And you do not want multiple people on the loan registering separately. Okay, it's one-time registration. And more information about that process is going to be announced when the program comes out. But if my memory serves me correct, you do not want to try to register multiple times. You do not want, let's say, your husband and wife. You do not want the husband going to register separately and the wife registering separately to increase their chances. That's a no-no. But please stay tuned for when the program is announced and we'll give you clear instructions on the do's and don'ts. Okay? Great question.
Okay, I got another one for you. Jessica asked how many people get picked at a time. I know that that's a hard question to answer, so I
Yes.
want to sort of help get us to, I think, where she wants an answer for. How much funding, do we know how much funding is going to be available on this next round?
That's a great question.
question.
So the funding came from a Senate bill, you guys, from the governor's office, and $300 million was allotted to the program. We are waiting to find out the final numbers of how much money we have, and we'll have a clearer idea of how much of that money is still available for the program. It could be less, it could be a little more. We moved a bunch of people off the wait list from the second round of the funding, so I don't have the exact numbers as of today, but please check back the beginning of next year. We may have more info.
Yeah, Jessica, and I'll provide a little insight too. So it's hard to have an exact number of how many people will get selected because it's based off a dollar amount of
Mhm.
how much the maximum you can receive is. So you can receive up to $150,000, but that doesn't mean you need to borrow that amount. Let's say
Yeah,
some people only borrow $50,000. If a lot of people only borrow 50, then that leaves more funding available to offer more. So there will be a first round of vouchers that go out of people who are selected and then a wait list. And then if those people don't find a property or maybe they don't use the full amount that's available, then that allows more funding for people that are on the wait list. So it's hard to give an exact number of how many people will this will be available for, but like Natasha said, once we have the budget, it gives us a better idea.
Thank you, Marvin. Well said.
Very
Thank
well
you.
said. You know, Natasha and Marvin, you know why I'm so excited about working with CalHFA? All these options that you guys have, right?
Right.
So, like, I know we're talking about Dream for All, but can we kind of skirt off a little bit into the other, like, down DPA that CalHFA offers? Would that be okay?
So
Absolutely, because we do have time. Oh, what you had
yes,
something,
yeah.
Marvin?
Before we do that, I
Oh, go,
just
go,
want to
go,
answer
go, go.
the
Go ahead, go
last
ahead.
question that was in the chat
I
about
got
this.
excited. My
It's
bad.
it's more in regards to the last round. Do you happen to recall, or do you have the information available? I know that it was published at some point, so I know it's public record, and this was from Kathy Pham. How many people applied last year? How many were selected? How much funding was given?
Ooh,
Oh,
details.
that was a great question. So
That was.
the second round of, I don't even know if I'm supposed to say second round. They have all these rules. So in 2024 was the second time of us rolling out with Dream for All. And I believe that round we had about 500 million worth of funding available. Um, over 18,000 individuals applied for the program. They showed interest. They registered on the Dream for All portal. I don't have the exact number of how many were selected. The reason being is we just took a bunch of people off the wait list and we're still trying to find out who actually used the program and who didn't use the program.
Mm,
But before we moved everyone off the wait list, it was about 2,500 individuals that receive a voucher. But it's going to be more than that now because we just moved a bunch of people off the wait list. So
hmm.
about final numbers, you guys, please just hang tight. Hopefully the agency CalHFA will announce the final numbers on who was selected, how many families that the program helped. Hopefully they'll announce that soon. But that was a really good question.
That was.
Now, Daniel, you mentioned CalHFA. We have so many programs, so many things that we're creating, you guys. Keep in mind, Dream for All is a unique special program. It's targeting first generation home buyers, and there's limited funding on the Dream for All program. That's why you guys have to register on the portal if you're interested and you qualify. But we also have other down payment and closing cost assistance programs where the funds are always available and there isn't this random selection and there isn't the need for a first generation home buyer for our standard programs like My Home Assistance. My Home Assistance can be paired with a conventional first mortgage. It can be paired with an FHA first mortgage, a VA, or a USDA, and it's essentially giving you 100% financing, or it can help with closing costs if you're looking to use it on a VA or a USDA loan. And the
You see my
rates on
screen?
my, yes, I can see it.
Mhm.
The rates on my home assistance is pretty reasonable. If you're someone looking to use it on a conventional loan and get 100% financing, that rate as of today was 6.25%. And then if you were someone looking for 100% financing on an FHA loan, that rate was 6% today. So there are
Yeah.
other programs that doesn't have that first generation home buyer requirement, where the funds are always available. So keep that in mind.
Yeah.
We also have our Cal Plus Access program that offers about 5% where you can use that as a down payment or you can break it up and use some for down payment and closing costs. It just depends on what your needs are. Um, and I always like to also say that we're pretty reasonable when it comes to the rate. If you're someone looking to buy a condo, you might find that our rate on a condo is favorable because some lenders might have to hit you for and increase your rate depending on the property type that you're looking to buy. We also even came out with a refinance program where existing CalHFA borrowers can refinance their loan, or non-existing borrowers can refinance into a CalHFA first mortgage. So that's something new that just recently came out at CalHFA. I think that's really key because we're looking to target those low to moderate income families, and we're trying to make sure that they're an affordable loan, whether it's you're purchasing your home or you're looking to refinance your home. That's key. And I think that's big at CalHFA.
We're
We're
gonna need
very,
to talk more about the refinance one, Natasha. So side
yes.
conversation.
Yes, the refi. And now keep in mind, if you're looking to refi, let's see, what was the rate today? So FHA was 6%. Um, if you're looking to refi and you want an FHA loan, I'm sorry, a CalHFA loan, it has to be a one unit property. It has to be your primary residence. So, but there are rules, but we're there to help you obtain an affordable mortgage, whether you're refining or you're looking to purchase your property. We're here. We're here for you, CalHFA. But are there questions?
I'll drop this link in the chat.
Okay.
Rahul asked, when is the open enrollment for Dream for All program? So it has not been announced yet. So we would
Right.
really recommend going to that CalHFA website, signing up for the email alerts so you get that notification as soon as they release it. Daniel just dropped the link for those interest rates and the different programs that are available through CalHFA. Let's see what else we got. The 8 hours of education course, is that given in person and on the weekends?
That's a great question, Kathia. So there, am I sharing my screen? I'd like to share. I want to show you guys something since we have time.
Oh, you can. Let's see.
Let's see.
You paused it.
Did
Double
I?
click to enter full screen.
Okay, let's see. Um, Sorry guys. I wanted to
You're
share my
good.
screen.
While
I don't.
while she's working that out, I'll just say because you mentioned, like CalHFA is focusing on helping these like low to middle income families. I think that is one thing that Daniel and I absolutely love doing. Time and time again, I work with clients who sort of feel defeated even just coming into the process because they're like, oh, I have a low budget or I'm not going to be able to afford anything. And you can afford something. We can help you get into something. There are lots of options out there, and this year prices have been very flat across the state. So no matter where you're looking, there is a lot more opportunity. The last month or two, I've been working with clients that are in the 250 price range, the 350 price range, the 450 price range. I mean, I do also help people in the seven and 800,000s, but it is so fulfilling to help because I'm big on education. Of course, that's why we're doing a webinar here. So I love educating people on helping them get into that first property that helps you build this equity. And whether it's through programs like California Dream for All or the different loan programs that CalHFA offers, there is a way for you to make it happen. So we're here to help you.
Thank you. That's good. That is key. Can
Your,
you guys see? Can you see my
no,
screen?
your screen is still paused.
Oh no.
So I'm gonna
Okay.
let Rahul
How
ask
about now?
this. Oh yeah, there you go. And then we'll
Okay.
go to Rahul.
Okay. So this is a screenshot of our website, you guys. A lot of great information. We have a unique section for home buyers on our website. If you click on the home buyers link, this link here, home buyers, it'll take you to a series of steps to homeownership with CalHFA. If you go down to step 3, it houses all the links available to you to complete your homebuyer education course. The first link on our website is the eHome America education course. This is the only online course that's allowed to you guys. To take this course, there is a cost of $100. You can opt to take the homebuyer education course in person with a HUD approved housing counselor. If you search on or click on the HUD approved housing counselor link or NeighborWorks link, it'll take you to the counselors near you. The Dream for All education course is, you'll find that where it says additional CalHFA Dream for All education course. And if you click on this link here, it'll take you to the website to take the Dream for All education course. Now, remember, on the Dream for All program, there are 2 certificates required. We require 1 8-hour course, and we require the Dream for All education course. So if you're someone, you might say, hey, I have a busy schedule. I prefer to take the online 8-hour course through eHome America. Then you would click on the eHome America link. And you will then have to take the Dream for All education course. So keep that in mind. But remember, the certificates are valid for 1 year, okay? 1 year. So I don't know, you kind of want to time it accurately. You don't want to take it now because it's only good for 1 year. And you first have to make sure you're selected for the program. Not everyone that applies for Dream for All will be selected to the program. Okay. We could go. We can.
Rahul, I'm gonna unmute you so you can ask a question.
Oh, hi. Thank you, Marvin. Yeah, so just to clarify, you have to be selected for the Dream for All program to work on the 8-hour home course and the additional Dream for All certificate, or or what if you're not selected? So you lose
No,
the money?
you don't have to be selected for the program. I think Natasha is just saying in terms of, because one of those do come at a cost to, you don't want to spend the money on doing the course that is a requirement of this program if you're not selected for the program. So she's sort of saying maybe to hold off on taking the course until you're selected, but you could take it before if you want to.
Oh, it's not required. Okay. And then my other question was basically, is there like let's say I have a broker, right? Can they qualify us for the Dream for All? Like if they have all our financial information, or this Dream for All we need to apply through CalHFA only lender?
Can I ask you a clarifying question?
Yeah.
Are you talking like a financial broker or a mortgage broker?
Like a mortgage broker, yeah.
Okay.
So if you're working with a broker, you want to make sure that that broker has an avenue to send your loan to a CalHFA approved lender, right? So the first thing that you need to do if you're interested in this program is to talk to a lender or a broker that can pre-approve you to qualify for the program, right? And I'm not sure if you may have came in later in the call, but they will need to pre-approve you. Once you're pre-approved, they're going to issue you a copy of the Dream for All pre-approval letter. You're going to need to collect that document and save it. We're going to need your government ID, your birth certificate, your parents' information, and then you're going to take that information and upload it to the Dream for All portal. That portal will be announced soon. The portal will open first quarter in 2026. So you're actually working with the broker. To get pre-approved, you're just applying in the registering, not applying, you're registering in the Dream for All portal when it opens. And that will show us that you're interested in the program, and we'll make a random selection on who's selected for the program. So you have to kind of stay tuned, stay alert, keep your user IDs and passwords, because it's a process, okay, to determine if you're selected for the program.
It's not updated. Thank you for saying that. And so basically, like, let's say I go through Golden Bay Mortgage Group example, and they've already pre-approved me. And can they give me that thing for Dream for All letter, or do I have to go through a CalHFA approved lender? You know what I'm saying?
You could go through
Yeah.
you could go to Golden Bay.
Yep.
Golden Bay will give you that pre-approval letter, or you can work with a CalHFA approved lender directly. It's Golden Bay is a broker
Yeah.
and they have access, or I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're approved with CalHFA. So if you wanted to, have a consultation, see if it'd be a good fit, can definitely help you apply for the Dream for All.
All right, we got a couple of quick questions before we wrap up. Is there a max, this is from Juan Herrera, is there a max amount of equity to be shared? I know it's 20%, but is there a max dollar amount that gets paid back?
That's a great question.
I feel like we talked about this before, but I don't remember.
No. That's a great question. So Dream for All, now remember, the program requirements have not been announced, right? So I'm only going off of what was allowed or required the last round. And we did put a cap on the amount of the amount of the appreciation. So we capped it at about 2.5 of the original loan amount. So that's the maximum that you'll ever have to pay back. But you as a homeowner, you always want to gauge on what home values are doing in your neighborhood. And then who the realtor that you select, they should be, or the lender that you select, they should be following up with you, while you're in the loan to make sure you're aware of what market trends are doing for your home. But there is a cap on the amount of appreciation that you'll ever have to pay back. And it's 2.5 times the original loan amount. But
yeah, and
stay tuned because it could change.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before in, step 8 of that process, I'm here with you, even after you close. I'm going to send you regular updates on your home's valuation, what's happening in your neighborhood, so you can keep an eye on that as well. I want to jump to Stephanie's question. To keep it short, can you buy a halfplex?
So it has to be identified as a single family residence, 1 unit. So if when you say halfplex, it makes me think of a townhome in a sense. So it's a 1 unit property, single family residence. It could be a townhome. It could be a condo, a manufactured home. If it's a manufactured, it has to be on a permanent foundation, considered double wide.
So I would decipher that, Stephanie, to say yes, you could hire or purchase the halfplex.
That is
this
correct.
one is from Ahmad. Question: if somebody's credit score is 750 but never financed a bigger amount, like a loan for a car, they have good credit that fulfills the eligibility requirements of the program. Yes, nothing there stands out as a red flag that wouldn't qualify you for the program. And with a 750 credit score, you probably would be eligible to get pre-qualified. Obviously, Daniel would have to look at your debt to income ratio and stuff like that. So really would recommend doing that consult. We'll drop it in the chat. Again, we've already had a few people schedule consults, so we're really excited.
Wow. That's amazing.
Daniel and I have synced up our schedules to make sure that we're both going to be available for y'all on those calls. So you will be getting both of us. So whether you have real estate questions or lender questions, we will be there to answer them for you. Daniel just dropped that that link in the chat. And we want to just thank everybody for their time this evening. Thank you for your questions. They were really, really great questions. And yeah, any last words, Daniel, Natasha?
Assemble your team now, you guys, and please don't overspend during the holidays because what you spend on your credit cards, that can affect how much you qualify for. So keep that in mind. Also, do not self-eliminate yourself. If you feel like I'm not a first generation home buyer, so what?
Yeah.
Talk to a lender. You just never know. They can help structure that loan to meet the program requirements.
Thank you so much, Natasha, for collaborating with us. You've been awesome, and much more information to come. Again, sign up for the alerts from CalHFA. We dropped the links below. If you don't have any of the links, we're going to be sending up a follow-up email with the recording, in addition to some of the important links that you need. But again, assemble your team, like she said, and we hope to get you those keys to your house really soon. So. Anything else from you, Marvin, Natasha?
Nope. We'll see you in the follow-up email, and we're
Yeah.
excited to meet with those that have already scheduled a consult and those that will schedule a consult.
Yes. Looking forward to it. All
Happy
right,
holidays,
everyone.
everybody. Thank you.
Good night and happy holidays.
You guys want to stay for like 3 minutes?
Okay.
Let's just remove people real quick.
Okay.
You
ain't got to go home.
But you gotta get off the Zoom.
All right, remove. Good job, guys. Move. Don't report. All right, you guys, we're ending the Zoom so you guys can end the calls.